Now live. Okay, so welcome to episode 4 of Recall Japan. As always, I'm Kevin, and in the middle you see Josh. He now has a new place. Josh, how's your new
It's a much better
place?
background.
Yeah, I
It's
like it.
nice, but we don't have AC, so
Oh,
it's
okay.
pretty hot in here.
That's
But
gonna
other than
suck.
that, it's been going well.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
today's special guest is SoWhaaaat. I don't know if anyone's made this joke, but I want to say, from the song Pink, so what?
Still a rock star.
Still a rock star. It's a terrible joke,
Yeah.
but SoWhaaaat's been around for a while. He's been in the collegiate league in Japan. He was also on a couple teams, V3 as like an analyst, and now he is the general manager of Burning Core. So, SoWhaaaat, how are you today?
I'm pretty good. Kind of tired. Happy
Tired?
about our win yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
It's a good win. It's a good
Wait, you
win.
did-
So.
You did some collegiate stuff in Japan?
I'm the founder of the collegiate league in Japan, and we're
Ooh.
working with Riot. In my last year, we started working with Riot JP.
Very cool. I know it's the last time, or I guess the only time I've ever interacted with the Japanese collegiate scene was I was working with UC Irvine and at the International Collegiate Championships was happening in China. Very, very briefly talked to some of the players there. I mean, the Chinese
Um,
teams were just super, super good, so it's hard to say anything else.
I think that
I don't know
was
if you were...
that should be A to Z, Tokyo Institute of Technology.
Yeah, those guys.
Yeah,
Yeah. I was actually surprised at how well they did overall. I didn't have particularly high expectations simply because
Gotcha, yeah.
I mean, Japan is not a big region for League of Legends, especially when you look at everything else they were competing against. But I think
Yeah.
it was China and Portugal were the two top teams at the time. I don't remember. It was like a year ago.
Yeah, I don't remember either. I think
Yeah.
we did the Japanese restream, so
Mm.
I remember bits and parts of it. I remember being surprised that Japan actually won a game because our collegiate league wasn't that strong at the time. So
Mm.
I was
Like
pretty.
what kind of rankings were you looking at for your players? Do you remember?
I think our the Tokyo Institute of Technology was I think an average. No, their top laner was like gold or something in
Oh
JP,
wow.
but I think their support was a Korean exchange student.
Mm.
So I think he was like Diamond. Um, their ADC is Challenger. Their mid and jungle are around JP Diamond. So
That's
average,
not bad.
high
Yeah.
plat.
Okay.
I know, like, you look at some of the other teams, like, UC Irvine coming from America was coming in with, like, 2 former professional players.
Yeah,
So it was yeah, I was pretty impressed, but, I mean, lots of cool teams. Anyway, Collegiate Japan is not what we're here to talk about today, even though it's kind of a cool little segue.
I mean, we could talk about that towards the end a little bit if you want,
Yeah,
because this week wasn't that interesting. But I mean, first of all, I just want to ask a little bit about SoWhaaaat. So, your title is general manager, but what exactly do you do for Burning Core?
for Burning Core, well, as a manager, I obviously manage the team,
Hmm.
but specifically, like, obviously, I'm in contact with Riot with about LJL stuff. I contact the coach, owner. I'm basically the middleman for everything. I get information, I output it to people that need the information, obviously, who I should. And I'm also an advisor for the owner on what
Hmm.
to do with the esports teams as well.
Okay, is that
cool.
esports teams outside of League of Legends?
Currently, I'm only doing League of Legends.
Oh, okay.
It's only been a month,
Yeah.
obviously, but as time goes on, I'll probably manage more of the other teams that we have,
Okay.
like the fighting games as well.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, so maybe in the future you'll help pick rosters or pick coaches or like help with that process, or do you think it's
Hopefully.
like, hopefully, is that something you want to do, like help build the roster, help pick players and subs, and like
I mean,
create the support structure?
because I've been so involved with the community, I feel like yeah, I feel like that's some of the process that I want to take care of as well.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I mean, I like the team currently as it is. Obviously, like
Mhm.
it's not a roster I'm going to change. I want to change right now, but maybe in the future,
Yeah.
I wanna see that opportunity as well.
Hmm.
Well, no, I wasn't saying, oh, are you gonna bench players? I was just wondering, like, let's say, like, oh, like I think this player can be really good as a sub. We should get him, kind of thing. Like you would make these suggestions or be like, oh, this guy wants to come over. We should pick him up. It's like stuff like that, like general stuff like that. But okay, I get the gist of it. One
Yeah.
more question I
I do
wanted
have.
to ask.
Oh
Oh, sorry. You can ask it
no, you go
because
first. You go first.
mine's a little bit trolly. Because I looked at your
Yeah.
Twitter profile and I saw
Yeah.
your banner at the top of your Twitter page.
Oh God.
Why does it say? Why does it say Japan with a question mark? You're full Japanese, right?
I'm full Japanese, but I feel like a lot of people question if I'm actually Japanese, personality-wise, and
Oh,
when they
okay.
see my pronunciation.
Okay. So,
Um,
so it's like a joke kind of thing.
yeah,
Like,
it's like a joke kind of thing.
oh, okay, okay, okay.
And
Because
then I guess the other important question is Yakiniku like your summoner name or something?
Uh, so the other players all have their devices on there, but I had nothing to put on there because I'm not a player. Like, there's nothing I could really put there. Um, and there's a bit of a meme in the Japanese collegiate community where it's like "SoWhaaaaat no kanji yakiniku tabetai," which is like I want to eat Japanese barbecue
Hmm.
with SoWhaat's money. So I'm just going off that meme. I'm just putting it in there, just for the lulz.
okay,
I dig it. I dig it.
okay, I
So
see.
one of the interesting questions I have is something that you probably have some insight into. Japan has a little bit of a more unusual situation in that I know that an outside company, Playbrain, is particularly involved in LJL and in terms of like the production and everything, which a lot of the other major regions don't really have. I know for a fact North America, EU are both doing it internally, but could you give some insight onto exactly what Playbrain's role is for the LJL?
Playbrain basically runs the operations. They do the referee. They do the contacting with us. They do. I'm not sure how deep I can go into this, but basically they do all the operations of LJL, or the main operations of LJL, like referees. I think streaming as well.
Yeah. So
Cool. And
from what I
how much
know,
contact do you have?
oh, okay.
How much contact
Yeah.
do I have? Usually I just contact them like on a weekly basis, basically submitting rosters, talking to them if there's any troubles, which we haven't had so far, luckily. Um, yeah, so it's just on a weekly basis how the date of the LJL and for like roster submissions as well. That's all the contact I have with them right now.
Okay. Yeah, because the LGL is run by well, three companies in total: Riot Games, the Yoshimoto agency thing, and then Playbrain. And Yoshimoto owns the venue, and Playbrain is in charge of like the broadcast. So it's kind of like split up into three different groups, and they all try to work together to make the LGL come together. So, I mean, I don't know if there's much to say about Playbrain. They just handle like the casters, like broadcasting it, and the website. So just like mostly like the behind the scenes stuff. That's all done by Playbrain, as far as I know.
That's as far as I know as well.
Yeah, I mean like I don't know much else. Like what else they do besides that. Like from what I've
Yeah.
been told, it's just like oh they hire like the casters, they organize everything, they do the like website streaming,
Yeah,
and
I mean it's
yeah.
just interesting as an outsider. It's just a very different system from what a lot of people are used to when you look at how different regions run. A lot of people are used to like OGN, or I think it's SPO TV now, running LCKs broadcast, but so many other places are just doing it internally. So it's just kind of cool to see how Japan is coming up in a different way.
Mhm. Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true.
this is just going back to collegiate scene stuff. Also, in the past, Riot JP also did Collagen stuff with other companies as well. So I feel like they want to work together with game companies in Japan to make like good connections as well. I feel like that might be one of the goals. I'm just speculating here,
Hmm.
but that might be one of the goals that they might have, so that they can create a better ecosystem.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you might as well like try to partner up with someone who's, I guess, specializes in broadcasting and doing stuff like this. So hopefully you can make a better experience, like a viewing experience for the people watching, rather than just trying to do everything yourself and having that learning curve where Playbrain. I mean, they've done pretty well so far. I don't have any complaints. It's not like the stream just randomly dies over and over again, or he can't see the game or anything like that. They've been pretty good so far. Except for one thing, I don't like the way that the camera keeps moving on the players. That's like a small minor complaint. Because like every other region either doesn't have cameras, or they have the cameras on top of the monitors, but they have like cameramen just like walking back and forth, capturing like reactions, which is kind of like weird, but like it's not that big an issue. It's just, I guess it's just their like little touch to the situations, like, oh, we can do this differently, which is okay.
Yeah, I always thought it was interesting that they just go a kind of like a set rotation, because there are definitely times where I feel like there was probably a really cool reaction coming from one player that we probably missed because it
Um,
was just looking at the wrong person at the wrong time. But I agree. I think Playbrain, from what I've seen, and you guys obviously will have seen a lot more than I have, it's just seems like it's been going quite well. I don't know. That's really the biggest question I had in terms of like the managerial side. I think even though this week hasn't been particularly interesting, we should probably at least take a look at some of the results. You said it's week 3, Kevin. That means it's time to start flaming some players.
okay, let's see. Do we want to go with Burning Core first, since it's your team? Get them out of the way.
Let's go.
Okay, let's go with Burning Core. So surprisingly, I don't actually have that much flame for Burning Core. Usually I flame once, like the jungler. I don't think he's that good, or like the bot lane. And I would praise, like, I would say Rayfaki's doing pretty well, Roki's doing pretty well. But against Sengoku, I think once did a pretty good job, and Yuhi and Medic just shit all over Otogi and Raina, so I don't have that much flame. Usually I would go to once, like he's my go-to flame guy. When I'm like, oh shit, who do I flame? Oh, I'll just flame once, but this game, I have to be like, Burning Core did well. They beat a shitty team, so yeah.
Yeah.
Are you sure we're playing Burning Core, or are we flaming Sengoku already?
Well, I
No,
don't
I
have
was
that
actually
much
gonna
to
say it.
flame.
I was super impressed with Burning Core. I was pretty hyped watching their game against Sengoku, partly because it was it was really clean. Like just across the map, they had a couple of flubs early on in the game, but after that, they didn't get any kills and they didn't lose any kills for what it was like 20 something minutes. Right? By the time they're knocking on the inhibitor turrets, it's still 2 to 3 in kills, but Burning Core has picked up all of the dragons. They've lost like 1 or 2 outer turrets, and the rotations were something that I really wasn't expecting to be coming from this team, because we've already talked about how there's a lot of rookies coming in, and we were a lot of people had these guys pegged as, bottom 3 most likely in the region, but they're already, if they can continue doing that for the rest of the season, I think these guys can, I don't know if making playoffs is in the cards yet, but they can definitely start making their way up and maybe taking some games off those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first comment I had with their game, I was watching their game. The first comment I had was, I don't think this is the LJL. Was my first impression of. Like, I don't see those types of games in the LJL, so I was personally surprised. Like, I've seen them play like other games, scrims, obviously solo queue as well. Like, it was really clean compared to the other games we had so far. So I was genuinely surprised about that game.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously don't give us really big spoilers about like what Burning Core is doing in the future, but I'm kind of curious as to like where is that cleanness coming from? Is that what we should normally be expecting from these guys?
I mean, honestly, I think it's just I think one thing is the coach. 3-4 is a really great coach. He has a great mindset towards coaching, and he really teaches them well. Like he doesn't teach him. He just doesn't hand. He just doesn't give them just the answers, but he also gives them like how to think about the game, and I think that's really effective, especially on rookies,
Mhm.
because they don't have a mindset towards a team game yet. I feel like that's a big part of what's contributing to our clean wins.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
is there like a dedicated shot caller, or like who are the dominant voices for the team?
I think that really depends on the game. Like, I feel like it depends on how the game is going as well. Um, but I feel like the Korean players are very fluent in Japanese, surprisingly. So we don't have that much problem talking to them in Japanese. And obviously, Medic is fluent in English, as everyone knows. So
Yeah.
um,
Oh yeah, because he did that entire segment, right?
Well,
When they were doing the interviews.
is there something wrong with his Korean? Like, I don't. I know he's like
uh,
full Korean, but why would he do the interview in English rather than Korean? Is English his
uh,
first language and Korean his second language?
that's so he could have done the interview in both either language. He
Mm-hmm.
he has no trouble speaking Korean. He talks to 3-4, our coach, and once in Korean, so he has no problems with his Korean. But
Okay.
it was just like the spur of the moment, I guess. We had a Korean translator as well. We had 3-4 who can translate from Korean to Japanese.
Okay.
But we were talking to Playbrain, and we were talking about how he could either do the interview in English or Korean, and they decided to do it in English, and that's just it.
Huh.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I just thought that was
Yeah.
really weird because when he started talking, I was like, wait, is he talking in English? Like, wait, who is this guy? And it's like, oh, it's Medic. Wait, I was so confused. I was like, I just thought there was like, maybe he's not. Because his Gamepedia profile says he's born in Saudi Arabia. So I was like, what if he just doesn't know that much Korean? But I guess that's not the issue. And just wanted to show off that he knows English. So, well, okay, that's good to know. I was kind of like worried
Weird
at
flex,
first.
but okay,
Yeah.
right?
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of it. I just think Burning Core is looking really good as a team, and if they can continue doing what they did against Sengoku, they're going to be they're going to be looking pretty solid for the rest of the season. Um, Ray Farkey, I'm actually, you were already talking about how he looks really good on characters like Darius, but now he'll going up against Don't You, who is again admittedly not the best top player in the league, but he was looking totally fine on the Jace as well, able to be very aggressive, and when the rest of the map is doing well, he can create leads for himself. The question will be if he can do it against some of the other big players like Cog, Paz, and of course Evie.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I mean, I don't think. I think Ray Farkey is fine. Like, he seems to have the potential to be better than he is now. It's just that, like, because I've seen him play, like, behind the scenes, and I've seen him play, like, other, like, meta champions. He was, like, okay. And during, like, a scrim, he would just play Darius and just, like, legit 1v9 and hard carry the game. And I saw his, like, solo queue accounts. He's, like, Darius one trick, like, super high win rate. Like, being able to be, like, master tier Koreans or whatever. So I was like, okay, if he ever gets Darius in a pro game, that'll be fun to watch. And it was pretty fun to watch him like do really well against, I think it was USG, some game where he got
yeah, because it was against Aramic, wasn't it? That sounds right.
there's some game where he got Darius and just completely smashed on everyone when it looked like they were about to lose. Oh no, it against RJ?
Oh, Rascal Jester?
Probably. It was
Yeah, it was
last
against
week.
Rascal Jester. He was playing Darius
Yeah, it's
against
RJ.
Yeah.
Cog.
Yeah, that game
Yeah.
was fun. It was kind of sad for the first few minutes watching everyone die around the map. And then eventually, he comes walking with his giant axe, starts getting pentakills or whatever.
I'm sorry, the MVP of that game. I know I want to put on Ray Farkey, but
Hmm.
honestly, it's a once.
You think it's once?
No, his team fighting is so on point with his Lee Sin. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like his three man kick, like Yeah, I know Darius.
Okay.
Like he got triple kills, like
Hmm.
quadra kills. I know, and he looks really well. He looks really good. But the setup that once did was on point, honestly.
That's true. I guess. Like,
I don't know. Kevin just hates once, man.
no,
It doesn't matter
I
what
don't
you say.
hate ones. It was just that the early game with like Roki and Yuhi feeding, like getting caught out and dying, and then when once came in, I mean when Rayfaki came in, once did have a really good setup, and it made it really easy for like Rayfaki to just clean it all up, and they also had a really good like shielding comp, so I guess it does make your job a little bit easier.
Yeah, Hyperdarius. I think I was the one who said it reminded me of a composition that I had watched high schoolers play just a couple weeks before.
Yeah, the
But hey, man, if it gets you results, I mean, this is the composition they won the tournament with, so it's clearly doing something right.
no, I have nothing against it. I was just excited to see his Darius like on the main stage. But yeah, do you have anything
Yeah.
else you want to add about Burning Core? Because I feel like not to take anything away from Burning Core. Like obviously, like I think they did really well, but also like feels like Sengoku did nothing a lot of the time and just watched them bleed out. Like they're looking for like the perfect engage, but Burning Core just never gave them like a clean engage. Like when you're down, you have to try to like risk and gamble. Like oh, it's like a 3v2. Maybe there's people there, but we have to like try something. But instead, like Sengoku just sit there and just watch Burning Core play like a really clean macro game, which they didn't let Sengoku take any chances, or Sengoku didn't take any chances. So I'm not trying to like downplay Burning Core's
Yeah.
achievements, but that's what it felt like when watching the game.
I feel like even though that was a really clean game, I think like we can grow even more than this.
Hmm.
And I think Burning Core is still a really young team. Everyone's really young. I feel like we'll grow more over the season as the season goes on. Is all I have to say about this team.
Yeah, I mean you have like three rookies, like Medic, Rafe Arky, and Yuhi. They're all pretty much rookies, so I wouldn't be surprised if this team. I don't think they'll win LGL this split, but I think in like the next split or next year, those players can be a threat. I think this is like a roster you want to keep an eye out for next year rather than like this season, but they'll still do
Yeah.
work.
I'm actually most scared about some of our players being not poached, but like obviously like
Oh,
offered well, oh, well like other teams giving them offers,
mhm.
especially well I don't want to name names, but I think Medic is a very strong player overall, and I'm actually kind of scared. And Ray Farkey obviously is also a very good top laner, and he's also very young, so I'm kind of scared about that over this next year.
I
I mean,
mean,
of all fears,
yeah.
I think that's a good one to have,
Yeah.
right?
I guess.
My players are so good that the teams with more money are just gonna come and try and sweep them up. But
Just don't let them go near any jacuzzis or like anything like that with any other players. Then you should be fine. I just love bringing up
yeah,
that story about perks and caps. Allegedly, what happened
hey
with perks
man,
and
what stays in
caps.
this jacuzzi or happens in the jacuzzi stays in the jacuzzi.
Or any
Anyway,
5.5 or 5.5K.
5.5K.
Yeah.
Dude, that's an old school like H2K meme. I haven't heard that in a long ass time. But yeah, okay, we're done with
yeah,
Burning
all right.
Core. Let's move
I want to
on.
talk about the other team. I'm actually kind of excited for. Right.
Okay.
I want to talk about Unsold Stuff a little bit, mostly
Oh,
just because I
okay.
really like Dasher as a player, and even though they gave Tussle the MVP for the game against Sengoku, I was a little bit shocked on that because I felt like almost all of that game was Dasher basically 1v9ing the entire thing, right? And it's not entirely him when they played up against V3, but he still had a significant presence in that game, and the fact that they're able to do that even with all of the other failings they've had so far over the season is just really impressive to me. And I think this is a team that especially if Opperman ever does come back, they will instantly skyrocket to about like the 4th place spot. Because it's just Dasher, man.
I think that Tussle should get his MVP removed because of the V3 game. Like, he played
Really?
so bad. No, because he got MVP in Sengoku is fine. Like, you can argue about that. But because in the V3 versus USG game, he played so bad that he should go back in time, take away the MVP vote. Because when he missed Smite on Baron, like, that's his one job. And he missed Smite, and they lost the game basically off of that one play. And it was like, you thought he might actually landing a pretty clean Ezreal ult. And it's just like, boom. All their hopes and dreams gone with just one button. That's what I think. I think Dasher played above and beyond. I feel like he's just trying his best, trying to 1v9. That's that. Like, if there's any player in the LGL that's probably 1v9ing, it would be Dasher. Like, Dasher just does insanely good.
I thought it was interesting. So Aramik, according to Games of Legends, is currently the only player to have played Mordekaiser. Right, partly because it happened a little bit before all the other regions are going to have an opportunity to play him, but it's still, he's the only one to play it, and it looked pretty solid. He had a really bad matchup going into the Gangplank, because Gangplank can just orange, right? Just eat the oranges, and suddenly Mordekaiser doesn't have an ultimate anymore. So he didn't really have a whole lot of opportunity to fight Paz, who I already think is a better player, but he looked pretty solid on this character, even with all the other things that were that they were having trouble with throughout the course of the game. So I think it's pretty cool that he was able to bring that out and look good on it in a really bad matchup.
I think it also brings up like some issues with USG's communication, because there are some questionable flashes, and the spectator client doesn't really portray Mordekaiser's ulti that clearly. So I think it was around the Baron, the Dragon Pit, where like Tussle died immediately, and then Armik just flashed onto Rek'Sai trying to 1v9, like just solo kill him, when everyone else was like backing away. So that to me seemed really questionable. But then when I went back and watched it, like he was in ulti, so he couldn't see what was happening around him. But I felt like people should have told him like, oh, let's back out, Tussle's dead. But he's just flashed in and just died by himself. So I just think there's communication issues.
I haven't played the new Mordekaiser yet, but can Mordekaiser leave his own ultimate?
Not that I know of.
I don't think he can. Yeah. So he might have just been kind of stuck around the edge, so he couldn't leave. Maybe. I mean, again, it's hard to see what's going on with Mordekaiser's ultimate and the spectator, which is disappointing because of how cool it looks.
Yeah.
But I do agree. I know what you're talking about. It was weird.
I haven't really touched Mordekaiser that much, so I can't really say with confidence what works. But yeah, I mean, he's been struggling just like Donshu is, but they're both like rookies. But like I don't know, like they're probably in the bottom echelon of rookies. Like if you had to look at all the rookies that came in this year, I think like teams like Burning Core, maybe even like V3 with Ace, got pretty lucky with their rookies, whereas like USG and well, maybe not Sengoku, because Taka and Reina look fine. It's mostly just Donshu that looks pretty questionable. But
do you still think of Ace as a rookie now that he's already played a split with V3 in the spring?
Maybe not like rookie in the terms of like he's just started playing, but like he's still like new, only playing like not even 21 games, because he was sharing game time with their sub mid laner Recap. I don't think that's enough to like be a solid player. Like very few players just instantly come out of the like Challenger series or like just from solo queue straight onto stage and like dominate. It's like it's very rare for that to happen. So I don't hold that against any of these players. Like imagine if you're just sitting at home, you're playing solo queue, you're like, oh, I'm pretty good. Now you have to play on stage, and then when you lose, you look on your Twitter and all these hate messages keep piling up. Like that's a lot of stress and pressure, especially if you're not used to that environment. So
yeah,
I'm not gonna like shit on like. I mean, I think it's funny to shit on like Aramik and Donshu. Like it would be funnier, but I don't think it would be right to shit on them. And that's why like when Yuhi or like Medic or Ray Farky are like doing decent or well, it's like impressive that this team with like just rookies, except for like Once and Roki, are able to like beat these teams with like players with more experience, more like star powered like brand names. So I think Burning Core is like impressing me compared to like all these other teams, and like USG also has all these like star names, star power, and they're just like they're almost there. I feel like they're slowly getting it together, but at times they feel like there's little to no communication. And I was a big Oppaman hater, along with like Seros, but the team feels really different without these players. So I'm wondering if like Oppaman was like a huge shot calling deal, like that's why. I always thought like Tussle was the shot caller because when he was on like Rampage or not Pentagon but like Rampage, I thought he was like helping like communicating with Dara on how to like win the game. But I guess on USG that's not the case because they look pretty lost, and I think that's one of their main issues.
Oh, okay. Real quick, I want to go back to Burning Core for just a moment. I want to get SoWhaaaat's take on this. So last split, Burning Core was the team that I always had pegged as like these guys are super super consistent. They beat everybody that they're better than, and they lose to everybody that they're worse than. And I think the only team that didn't have a exactly 3-0 or a 0-3 record against Burning Core was Rascal Jester, who is the famous like, you know, on a good day we can beat DFM, on a bad day we're gonna lose to Axes, right? And right now, if you look at how Burning Core is currently set up, they have beaten Sengoku, Rascal Jester, and Unsold Stuff, who are currently bottom 4, and they've lost to Detonation and Crest, who are currently top 2. The only teams they have left to play are Axes and V3, but do you think that's going to be a fair assessment of Burning Core coming into this split as well? As like they are very much, you know, we are exactly this good and will always beat worse teams and always lose to better teams.
I'm not at a place where I can analyze last split's Burning Core, obviously, because I wasn't part of the internal. But from an outsider perspective, Burning Core last season had a lot of star power, but because they have a lot of star power and because they have they had a lot of older players, I feel like they had a limit, which is why they were so consistent. But this season, I feel like we have such younger players. We have a bigger growth. Well, basically, we have a bigger like growth potential. So I feel like our standing right now, like as I said earlier, isn't here. Like I feel like it's not even this split. I feel like it's next split. Like I think we can be better over this split, obviously, but also next split as well. So to answer your question, no, I don't think this is a good point to assess our skill.
Sure.
Okay.
I just think it's interesting because it's definitely a narrative we saw previously, and so far, very early in the split, it's holding true. I mean, but we only have 6 of the 21 games that have been played. So
Well,
I'd be
5 for
curious to
us.
see if it ends up happening. If so, I mean, that will keep you guys in 4th.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
that's not a bad place to be in, but
Yeah.
we can probably reach higher. So
Yeah.
I just noticed that Burning Core is very similar to a team called CLG, where so 2000. Listen to me, okay? So hear me out.
Okay.
End of was it 2015 summer when they won for the first time?
I think so.
Yeah,
that's right.
it must be. So they won summer 2015. Then spring 2016 comes along. They get rid of Double Lift and Pobelter because they were worried about like, you know, all these veterans with like toxic personalities, and they wanted to have like a better environment to do well. And then up until like I guess this split, they've kept that mindset. They kept kicking out veterans. They kept bringing in like moldable rookies and like people with good personalities. So, you know, Burning Core gets rid of Cog, gets rid of Gitori Moyashi, gets rid of Mocha, and brings in Ray Farky, Yuhi, and Medic. So then I feel like maybe a few years down the line, they're just going to keep holding on to players because they just want that good personality. Because after they win LGL this split, they're gonna be like, this is the way to keep winning, and they're gonna have constantly good personality players. So I think it's very similar to CLG. It's mostly a side tangent. You don't have to really analyze that. It was just a dumb joke mostly, but
In my defense, I had no for this season roster. I had no say in it, so I have
okay,
no idea how last split was, and I only know current split.
okay.
So no comment on that.
That's fine. You don't have to comment. It's just a dumb joke. I didn't expect you to
I like
comment and
it.
be like, yeah, all those players were toxic. We got rid of them. Now we got rookies. We're going to mold them into LGL superstars. I wasn't expecting that. If you did say that, that would have been spicy. I could clip it and
That would've
post
been
on
great.
Reddit and Twitter. Burning Corp
Did I get-
general manager says, what about previous players? They're typing it. Click here to
Did I get
find out.
so flamed?
But, okay, we
Nice.
talked about Burning Core. I guess we talked
Yeah,
a little
I
bit
mean-
about USG. We could segue into USG versus Sengoku if you want to talk about that game.
I mean, I feel like that was Dasher 1v9. Like,
Yeah.
actually, like, that was the game that I was looking at. He was on the Zoe, and I don't remember if he had 100% KP on that game, but it was
He
very
did.
close to it.
I'm looking at
Yeah.
it right now. He had 100% KP.
I know he had 100% of the kills or something ridiculous like that.
He had
Yeah.
At one point.
6 kills, 3 assists, so out of 9 kills, they won 9-0. That game was a lot of fun. Blank flashing in, throwing his ult on Keymaker, then having to back out while Donchi is just farming mid. And then, so 4 people die bot. You're like, oh, okay, good. At least we didn't get ace. And then you see Donchi on the minimap still farming mid as Dasher just comes along, hits him with a bubble, and kills him. Like, oh, great. We just got ace at, like, what is it, like 16 minutes in the game? That was a lot of fun. I
That
would
was
like
a
to-
brutal game. That was brutal. This game was brutal.
That's
Yeah.
like Blank's on full tilt. Like, if you had to be like, oh, I think Blank's tilted and he's, like, intentionally losing, I'd be like, wait, what's your evidence? And if you showed me that game, I'd be like, yeah, he does look like he's inting. Or just, like, tilted. Just wants to go home, go to sleep.
He kind of reminds me of like looking at Wyvern on a couple of previous incarnations of Rascal Jester, where it's just kind of like, I don't feel like I can play around any of my teammates, and I have to try and do everything all on my own. But I feel like Blank can play around Odigi, and he's just not. Like, he's trying to prop up Donchu and mid laner, his name's
Taka.
Taka.
Yeah. He's trying to prop up Donchu and Taka, and like, I feel like you have a winning lane that you can play around, and he's choosing not to do it, and instead is just not really ganking and just relying on the fact that he's Blank. He's really good at jungling. He's really good at understanding how to path around the map, which still looked good, but it's not enough. That's not what this meta is about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I went into pretty great details, like, earlier on in the day. I was looking at some, like, VOD reviews and, like, talking about some of the games, and I think Sengoku has a issue with, like, coaching, pick ban, and, like, communication in the team. Like, I feel like there's so many problems. I don't know what to tackle on first. Because if you look at, like, for example, let's compare, like, Sengoku and, like, Rascal Jesters. I think that's a pretty, like, fair comparison. They both have, like, really strong junglers that control and dictate the game. Yet, on Rascal Jester, Wyvern gets to pick, like, Talia, Olaf, like, things he's comfortable with, the hard carry. On Sengoku, on the other hand, he gets, like, Sejuani. I think his Xin Zhao is terrible. I don't want to ever see him play that champion ever again. But, like, I feel like he's so limited. And then Donchu keeps getting, like, all these carry champions, like Nico, like Jace, like Kennen. He's just really bad. I just want him to be on a tank. Like, I just put him on Maokai, give Blank, Olaf, or, like, Lee Sin something he can, like, legit just solo queue, carry the game. And then I think that might
Dude,
net better results.
can we see Blank's Master E at some point in this split?
Holy shit, that
Maple.
would be awesome.
Maybe
Maple, I see you in the chat. I see you in the chat.
Maple's in the chat. We gotta bully him into letting Blank play Master Yi.
honestly, I feel like the reason that they're relegating blank to secondary picks is because they need Donshu to not lose lane. Or they need a strong lane, top lane, to not lose the lane. You know?
Okay, yeah, but my counter argument would be that he loses lane anyways. So let him lose lane on any champion and let blank have priority picks. Because I don't think I've ever seen him like legit just win a lane or go even. It's always like, oh, he's losing a little. Sorry, he's losing a little bit of CS. He's not doing well. He's late to team fights. He's late to everything. Just put him on Sion, Maokai. I don't like. It doesn't really matter at this point. Just like something that can help win a team fight. Like even Vladimir would be fine, even though it's not like meta. I feel like maybe having Pumandu as a coach is a problem because it's. I wouldn't be surprised if he thinks very like Korean style, like, oh, follow the meta. We have to do this. We're a team. It's not 1v9. It's 5v5. Whereas like if you go to like other regions, like Japan's not LCK. You can 1v9. Dasher just did it this game. Just like give blank whatever, give Taka whatever, like or give Otaki whatever. Just give them like. Let Donshu just int in the top lane, but let him pick like a good team fighting champion, and I think this team will be a lot better. It's just that
I
they
think
have no
a
communication, they have no direction.
A good support to that argument in general in Japan right now is if you look at Crest Gaming Act, right? I mean, I've talked about Grendel quite a bit this split, but it's partly because I'm just really impressed with the way that they're playing with him. I mean, again, I've said this before, they're literally auto-filling a support into the top lane, and he's playing like a support. He's played Sejuani, a couple games of Nico, Pike, and then he also brought out the Karma this week as well. So he's losing lane gracefully. He's not really winning. He's not really losing. He's just like farming it out, and he's happy to do that because he's a strong enough player to do so. And I feel like if Donshu were to kind of follow in his footsteps and just kind of play these more supportive style champions to enable Blank to play really well, I think they have a lot of opportunities to do just that. But they're not. Maybe it is Pumandu.
I mean, I don't think I need to say much to make sure my argument is 100% solid. So let's see. You get 2-time world champion jungler. You put him on a tank. Who's he supporting? Who's he going to carry? Oh, is Faker on his team? No. We have Donshu. Who? Who's Donshu? Oh, he's some challenger. I guess, hopefully challenger Japanese top laner who ints every game. And I rest my case. That is the end of my argument. Blank should not be supporting someone like Donshu. Donshu should be supporting Blank. Like, the whole point that Blank left SKT is because he was Faker's bitch. Now Blank should make someone else his bitch. Just whisper in Donshu's ears like, this is what I had to endure for the last 3 years, bitch. Welcome to my world.
Okay.
This is what I was coming here for!
Yes, I think Sengoku should change up the strats. That is a valid point.
And?
If I'm able to say this as light as possible.
So you're being held to like professional standards and all that. Kevin and I could say whatever we want.
Yeah. No, okay, if I wanted to be a
They should-
professional... Okay, no,
They
go
should
first.
try new strategies. They should try new strategies. I don't know. Maybe it's scrim results. Maybe it's something else like that's working in like behind the scenes. But it's obviously not working in the LJL right now. So even if they can win scrims, I feel like they should try something different so that they can win in the LJL. I think that's one thing they need to focus on, especially this time with their very big sponsors coming in. I feel like winning is not a necessity, but I feel like winning is pretty important to them right now.
I think winning is 100% necessary. Like, you don't bring over Blank and then lose to USG. Like, for example, like, the reason why I'm not... It's not so much I'm hating on Donshu, it's more I'm hating on the organization itself. Like, if they kept, like... Maybe if they... They didn't have to keep Smile, but let's say they just got a different, like, Korean jungler, right? Not Blank. Like, just say, like, you know... Oh, this guy's, like, high, like Grandmaster Korean jungler. We'll bring him on. We'll bring in Donshu. Then I could get behind that. I could be like, okay, they're now developing a new top laner. They won't win LGL this year, but 2020, that will be really fun to watch. Maybe Donshu will be really good. This new Korean jungler will be really good. But the problem is you brought in Blank. You brought in two-time world champion Blank, along with Poomandu, two-time world champion Poomandu. Of course, I'm gonna want to see them win. Why would I watch the LGL and be like, oh, Sengoku is like 5th place again. Oh, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I'm not gonna say that. If you bring in Blank, the only reason you bring in Blank is because you want to win the LGL. If you get 2nd or 3rd, like that's not enough. Like I don't know the exact numbers that they're paying Blank, but I'm pretty sure that it's more than whatever sponsorship they can get from if they don't make it to Worlds. If they make it to Worlds, maybe they can make back some of that money. But if they get 2nd or 3rd place, they pretty much lost out on a lot of money. They're banking on the fact that Blank is that key piece to get him to Worlds, which by looking at this team, I'd be surprised if they even make playoffs at this point. I mean, the split's really long and there's still a lot of time, but they need to find something that can get them some wins. Like they can't lose to these bottom teams.
I kind of want to speculate a little bit.
There.
Yeah.
Don't blame
like, So what was talking about how like maybe Sengoku is doing really well in scrims, right? And I think if you haven't done scrims before in general, and if you're not familiar with it, you kind of just throw shit at the wall in scrims and kind of see what sticks, right? And so people tend to play really aggressively. They tend to kind of go for these plays that they wouldn't normally go for on stage. And oftentimes, because it's a situation where it's like, oh crap, that didn't work. Now we're 0-5 at 2 minutes. All right, we're going to remake this one because the rest of it's not worth playing out. But on stage, you have to play it out anyway. So maybe it's just a matter of like assuming that they are winning in scrims is just to convince people that it's okay to play that similar style on stage where you're going for these more aggressive plays and trying to make a more chaotic situation. Because we've seen a lot of success with this in Europe in particular. Like that's basically what Fnatic does. It's how they won almost all their games here at Rift Rivals is they just went super aggro and they took down teams like G2 in 20 minutes. So if Sengoku can transition to that and just go for this more aggressive style, assuming they are winning scrims, maybe that's what they can do to just get a quick elevation in skill. It's hard. Yeah. It's really hard.
Yeah.
It's not only hard, it's really depressing. Like I don't think I've ever been like this invested into a team. Just because like I just wanted Blank to like succeed. Like I feel bad because when he was on SKT, everyone just shit on him. People still shit on him with the 612 meme. Like I always see that spammed in chat, and I just sit there quietly. Like one day you'll see Blank will do more than 612 damage, and it's week 3, and I'm still shaking my fist at the monitor, waiting for it to happen, as everyone just spams in the chat. But so yeah, my advice would be, put Donshu on tanks. Don't let Blank play Xin Zhao and let him play something better. And yeah, just make plays and hopefully they can win.
I feel like the Xin Zhao pick was just against us, honestly. Like, because we went off with Xin Zhao Lulu on the first week against USG. That might be something to consider.
Maybe. It was kind of weird because he's played it twice, I believe. Let me double check. He's played Xin Zhao twice, and both times he's lost with like 0 kills and like a couple deaths. So it's like, I don't know. It's really questionable. Just want to like question mark.
The other Xin Zhao loss was against Crest, right? And
yes, it was against.
In that game, you just look at the fact that Luna and Art and Achimomo in the bottom lane were just manhandling ODG and Rhina for almost all of it.
That's true.
And at that point, it's like, well, if you're Xin Zhao, you do one thing and you go in and you hope you kill someone, because if you don't, you're not really a champion. And I think that point where he just wasn't strong enough and he just stopped being a champion just happened so early on in the game that there wasn't a whole lot left for him to do.
Yeah,
So
I hate seeing Sivir Yumi in the LGL. I wish they would stop giving teams both of those picks.
We're
It's
sorry.
really tilting. Like, you and Achamom. Achamom is the biggest offense. He keeps getting that champion, which is a perfect segue. Let's talk about Crest, because I hate talking about Sengoku for now. Maybe we'll talk about them next week. Like, well, our expectation for Sengoku is high. That's why you shit on them.
Yeah, Burning Core is down here. We're all good.
Yeah, I predicted 7th. They got 4th. That's amazing. You have 3 rookies.
Yes!
Like, if you had to get an award for, like, best roster for money value, Sengoku would be, like, 9th place. Like, I know there's 8 teams, but we'll make another team and we'll put them higher because any team can get a better positioning. But Burning Core would be, like, near the top. Like, if not number 1, like, at least number 2. The only one you can argue that is doing better is maybe Crest, because I don't know who would want their players, like before they played, I mean. Like if you said like, hey, do you want Yuhi, Medic, Rafe Arky? I don't think any team would be like, yeah, those all sounds like awesome like players. But like their value, depending on where they've gone, is like really high.
Yeah.
maybe it's like teamfight tactics. If you get 3 rookies on the same team, it just levels up.
Holy shit.
You
Get one super rookie.
Maybe Pumandu needs to play more teamfight tactics, because he's not having any synergy with his picks. He needs to get like glacial champions together, or 6 assassins.
I'm super impressed. Like going into it, we had Crest Gaming ranked fairly low because we're just like, why are they having their top laner play support, and why are they having their support play in the top lane? But since then, like I am very much on the Achumomo hype train, which is not something I was expecting to say. Right, every single week I keep coming back to it's like, he's only played 1 champion, but he has looked good on it with a good lane. But it's like now he's gotten a couple more games and he's still good, and people are still letting him play it. So it's like I think Achumomo has to be doing something really nutty in scrims or something like that, where he's got like another champion that they might be banning against him, because he and Art are just performing so well, and Crest Gaming is currently looking almost unstoppable because they're beating everyone. What do they have left? Oh, they have V3 left. So
yeah. So next week's first game of the week is CGA versus V3, which I'm pretty interested about, obviously, because on both undefeated teams, I want to see how they face off. But to give insight on Achamomo a bit, I used to play amateur with him in the past, actually.
Oh, okay.
2-3 years ago, and his former name is Lulu Baby, and he used to be a Lulu main.
Wait, really?
And he used to be a support main.
What?
Lulu baby.
Yes.
I like it.
He used to be a support main.
Oh shit,
and,
right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes, so he's just going back to his original role, and I saw some interviews with Grendel.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading about some interviews with them, and he was saying how Grendel was saying how Achamomo only plays support in solo queue because he can win.
Okay.
So apparently, before the season started, this is according to an interview. Before the season started, Achamomo said, because they figured out Nap couldn't participate this split too much because of studies. Achamomo said, Achamomo being the sub top laner was like, no, I want to play support. So Grendel ended up being top lane. Is the whole backstory to this like mess? I don't know. Like this whole whatever is working.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's looking really good, and I remember for a long time watching Achumomo play on a bunch of different teams, just kind of like he's just not that good of a top laner. Right, I think he was part of that series of top laners that Seventh Heaven ran through over and over. It's just like they're trying to find something to make it work, and they brought in Raijin for a little while. He's a popular streamer, right, and well known for his Irelia. And I think Irelia was like the only champion he managed to find wins on, basically. But Achumomo like went through that churn as well, and I was just like, well. They keep trying to find someone that's good enough to stand up to the other top laners in the league, and they just couldn't do it. And so I was wondering, is like, does he still have a career in the LJL? And then it turns out yes, it's just in an entirely different role. So I'm excited to see that he's still around and is finding a lot of success.
And we have Alley Cat from RJ going from top laner to support, so I
Yeah.
guess top laners going from support is a pretty smooth transition in LJL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that
I mean,
your
one of them's doing a
advice?
little bit better than the other one.
So our advice to like Donshu and Armik is to become a support main. Make it.
I mean, who
Start their
knows?
career.
Maybe that is the answer.
The joke would have been to make Zeros go support, because then he can probably be like half decent. But no, I'm already flaming RJ. We're not even talking about them yet. But I
Yeah,
think
we'll get to that.
Achamomo is good, but I think you're overrating him because he's only played 4 games of Yumi and 2 games of Lux. Like, and they're both like really strong, solid supports. And he's also played with Art. He keeps getting like Sivir and like all these like safe damage dealing AD carries. So I don't know. It's hard to judge how good Achamomo is. Like, it's like he just plays like really safe, pokes a lot, and gets like he's only played like 2 champions out of
Mhm.
6 games. So I don't know what to think of him.
I mean, yeah, that's why I said it's the hype train. I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
convinced that he's the best in the region or anything like that, but my expectations for what I was expecting from him were so low that he looks amazing. Just like Brennan Core, right? I had really low expectations and now they're doing solidly, and that's just like, oh my god, this is the best thing I've ever seen. But that's basically where it is with Achamomo as well. It's just kind of like I wasn't expecting anything, and I'm getting something, and that's really all I need to make it to feel really good about it. So I'm actually gonna go
Yeah.
back.
Well,
There actually hasn't been a whole lot of bans targeted at Achamomo
yeah,
at
I don't see
all.
too many support bands except for like Pike.
There
But
is a Pike. There is a
Grendel played
Tom
Pike
Ken.
top, so that probably explains why.
Mm-hmm.
My joke before the season started would have been that Grendel, a support main, thought Achamomo was so bad at top that he could just role swap and do a better job at top lane. But now my joke would be that Grendel is sweating now that he realized Achamomo is a better support than Grendel, and that when Nap comes back, he starts to sweat. Is like, oh hey Nap, you doing well at school? Fuck, that's all I can think of right now. He
That's
played
the term,
himself.
let's go.
He played himself. He outplayed himself in 4D chess. He should have known that Achimo would be some crazy support. Being able to pick Yumi every game.
Yeah.
Achimo was so lucky.
I was in the back area memeing with Achamomo,
Mm-hmm.
and Achamomo loves his cat. Like, he loves his cat. Like, he used to post pictures of his cat like every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I was memeing with him, like, because Yumi came out the first week or something, and I was talking to Achamomo. So, are you gonna pick the cat today? And he actually picked. He actually. I was like, God damn it!
Yeah, you shouldn't have
It's
told
so
him that.
perfect.
Yeah.
Riot buffed
man,
Achamomo.
Yeah.
Thanks, Riot Games. You
Thanks,
revived the
Rito.
player's career. He's now maybe might be considered one of the best supports in Japan with just 1 champion. But if Crest does well again, if Crest beats V3 and Achamomo doesn't play Yumi, maybe I might consider him a really good support. If he plays Yumi and they still win, I don't know if I'd consider him really good at that point. It depends on the game.
I'm just looking through his Twitter right now, and I'm noticing a lot of cats, like a lot of cats.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Do you want to
yeah,
talk about one more team? Because I don't think this week was that
alright.
interesting. Wait, so
Nah,
is there a
really.
team you want to talk about? You can pick the last team.
Not really. I mean, Axes looks bad. DFM looks like they figured things out by putting Saros back in.
But it was against bad teams,
I
mean-
so
I mean,
who
I
knows?
guess the best team to talk about would be Detonation,
Is there that
I
much to
guess.
say? But like,
I
so
don't
my
know.
thoughts on Dead Nation is, I think Saros helps out a lot in terms of like, I'm only guessing, but like in communication and stuff like that, because Steel looked really bad the last few games, and I was like, holy shit, like Steel is like boosted. And then Saros comes back, I'm like, oh, Steel's doing really well. I like Steel. And Evie with his champion picks is super weird. So maybe like Saros is like coming in and saying, hey guys, don't do something stupid. Don't pick Hecarim top. Just give me Ziggs or Karma or whatever. We'll play together and win. And everyone's like, oh yeah, that sounds logical. Thanks, Saros. And then they win. So
How old is Saros?
he's like
I feel like he's
23.
been around for so long. Really? I thought he
He's
was
like,
gonna be older than that.
I think he's like, he should be the same age as I
Oh
am,
wow,
or
he's 25.
yeah, he's the
I
same
didn't
age
know
as I
that.
am.
Oh really? You're 25?
I'm turning 25 this year.
Oh okay.
Yeah, yeah, I remember. Saros is around 26. Yeah,
Oh yeah, he
he's
turned
turning
26 in
26 this year.
December. Damn.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
old. I had no idea he was that old. But I know he's
Uh,
been playing like since I can remember, like Japanese pro players being around. It says Game PS says April 2013, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was like on some amateur teams doing like whatever funsy games.
yeah, he used to play FPS. I think I don't remember Sudden Attack with
Oh
Zerost, which
okay.
is why they're and Yutapon, I think, which is why they're such close friends. Oh, Special
Oh,
Forces.
Mmm.
oh
That's a
okay.
throwback.
Yeah, they used
That's
to play
interesting.
together on the same team, if I remember correctly.
Oh okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
Saros and
just looking
Yutapon's
at
been
the.
together for like super long.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
I'm just looking
Okay.
at the other players in the league. And it's like, who would I expect to be older than Saros? And there isn't a single person in the league. So like he might actually just be like, what's the KT jungler? That's been around for
Oh,
so
score?
long. Yeah, yeah. I wonder if he's just providing the same kind of atmosphere where he's almost like, if the manager is team mom, then Saros is just team dad, just like, all right, guys, calm down. You gotta get to work.
Maybe.
Gotta do your chores. Do what your mom says. So maybe that's just what Saros is doing for the team, except on stage.
But then that's another nightmare because you now have a mid laner shot calling, which is now going to be like TSM 2.0, which is going to be like, oh,
We're
I
saying
just
four
hate
words.
it when mid laners are shot calling and communicating so much. Maybe it's
Really?
the other way
Okay.
around.
That could
Like
be a question in a future episode, or maybe we have a little bit of time. Who's your ideal shot caller in a League of Legends team?
jungle.
Jungle.
Jungle. All right.
Jungle.
I think jungle. I think mid laner is the number two though for me.
I wouldn't want the mid laner shot calling because I want the mid laner focused on winning his lane and doing his job rather than worrying about lane assignments and all that stuff. Like jungle, you have a lot of downtime. Support, you have some downtime, and it's not as a mechanically intensive role, so that's why you'd want your support to be the secondary shot caller, with like the mid and top laner feeding the team information so they can rotate and do stuff. So when you have
I
like
think
shot calling mid laners, they don't really turn out too great.
I don't know. A lot of the teams that I've played on and I've seen have decent success have had mid laners as their shot callers because it's so much of who the shot caller should be is based on how much control over the game you have. And jungle is usually the number one person for that, especially early on in the game. But the mid laner is usually the strongest player in the game, right? Not the strongest player, but the strongest. Like they generally have more resources than everyone until the AD carry late game, right? Like they are the
Mm-hmm.
strongest individual champion. And if they were like, I want to do this, everybody else support me in doing the thing, then you find a lot of success that way because it's easy to just be like follow the strong guy around the map. And so that's why I think mid laners often
Oh.
make good shot callers. And the other group that I see, and you already touched on a little bit, is the support because it's whoever can make the play happen, right?
Yeah.
Like normally, I don't think top laners should generally be shot callers, though they can be. But when they're playing something like a Malphite, right? If your top laner doesn't have the foresight or the ability to say, watch me, I'm looking for a fight, I'm going in, then it's going to be, your Malphite's going to suck, right? But if they're like, follow up on what I'm about to do, then it becomes way more interesting. And the going back to like the supports, a lot of them, when you're playing like the Alistar support, right? And you're going to be like, all right, follow me, I'm doing the thing. And then everybody else is just suddenly on the same page. I think that's where a lot of shot calling power really comes from. So
I feel like
I
you,
don't know,
you have a good point with Malphite. I feel like a better example would be Gnar, especially when Gnar was meta. I feel like and when you talk about shot calling top laners, I remember Marin from SKT. I remember that SKT had Marin as their main shot caller. So I guess it is possible for the solo laners to actually shot call, but I'm also with the Kevin train where I rather have the jungler and the support make major decisions where the mid laner and the top laner can feed information on how their lane is, if they can win 1v1, like, and make the major final decisions as the jungler and the support.
No, I mean, I guess, because like we're kind of in a weird 1-3-1 meta where there's so much extended laning phase. So I can definitely see that because you have so much control.
Like, for example, like doing Baron or stuff like that, like, I would want the mid laner focused. Like, the jungler says, like, hey, see if you can pick someone off in this brush or whatever while we're doing it. Or, oh, we have to turn around and fight. Stuff like that, I feel like, is a jungle support duo. Like, getting vision control. Like, it's kind of weird for mid lane to be like, okay, AD go bot, top, go mid, I'll go top. Like, get vision control around Baron. Like, stuff like that is, like, kind of... I feel like it's really weird. Because when I think of, like, good shot calling, like, mid laners... or like top laners, like there's not too many good teams out there. Like when you think about like the world championship teams, like starting with like SKT, you had like Pumandu or Bengi, or if you had like Samsung White, Dandy, Mata, like these famous like dual lanes, like not dual lanes, but like jungle support synergy is like that's what makes them so strong. Like yes, Marin is kind of an exception, but I don't know how much of the shot calling he did.
I mean, I can't imagine a world in which, barring SKT, any team that Huni is on, Huni doesn't have a massive voice on the team, right? And so like that's one of the other things that shot calling is really good for is allocating resources. It's like, hey, because you'll often see like, oh, there's a big wave coming in one lane. Who is that going to go to? And the lane allocation is like can be put on hold for like 30 seconds or whatever while somebody goes to farm it. And oftentimes it's the loudest person who's the shot caller who's be like, I want that farm. Right, so when it's a really good player like Huni or like Bjergsen or whatever, and they're like, I want that, give me these resources, then you can make your good player look even better. So I'm not saying that your theories are wrong, I'm just surprised at how against the idea of a mid laner shot calling you guys were.
I mean, I think it has something to do with me being a jungle main and Kevin being a support main.
Yeah, that's true. That helped. Yeah. I just realized we're both jungle support mains, but yeah, because I do a lot of the shot calling for whenever I play with friends, because everyone's just trying to focus on last hitting and like getting kills and stuff. And then if they say like, "Oh, I can go for kills," then I help them out. But if I say like, "Oh, we're doing dragon now, come help me," then like I'm making the big game decisions. Like, okay, push up this wave, then we're gonna go rotate to mid. Like, oh, you stay bot, catch this wave. Like when you're done pushing that wave, come towards dragon, go this way so you're safe. Kind of like all those like little things. Because I'm not trying to last hit. I'm not trying to do all these like micro things. I get to like sit back because I'm playing like a simple champion like I don't know Thresh or whatever. I just throw a hook, get a few kills. It's everyone else that has to play like Zed. Like, can you imagine, like, the Faker Ryu Zed 1v1 matchup? Faker trying to shot call. Oh, keep pushing bot. I'm 1v1ing Zed right now. Oh, shit. I'm dead because I was trying to think about bot and mid at the same time. Like, it's easier for a support to, like, look at the mini-map a lot as opposed to, like, other lanes. So, that's my point.
I also think it's funny because jumping off your point of you have a jungler and a support, I'm also a solo lane player, so everyone here is like, no, wait, no, I should be the one shot calling.
Hopefully we're never on a team together. We'll all be shot calling different things. It's like, no, it's the solo laner's job. It's the jungle's job. No, it's my job. I'm the support. I shot call.
It's okay. I mean, everybody in the audience just suddenly knows that they're just watching a whole bunch of big brain players with broken
That's true.
hands trying to do whatever they can.
Support main. I got the big head.
Because I wasn't obviously I was also coaching my university team, and I was also playing it with the university team as well. So yeah, I used to shot call. Is exactly
Wait, you were
why.
coaching and playing at the same time? At the same time for the same
Yes, yes.
Ooh.
Unfortunately,
game? That's definitely one solution you can find.
Make yourself the coach and the shot caller. You can never bench yourself. It's like, oh, SoWhaaaaat, I don't think you're doing too well. Really? Let me ask the coach. Coach, what do you think? I think you're doing fine, SoWhaaaaat. Thanks, SoWhaaaaat. Let's continue. That's the kind of position I would want to be in if I was on a team. It's like, we're listening to the coach. It's like, but you're the coach. Exactly. We're going for Dragon.
Alright, guys, let's just take a vote. You got 3 players voting one way, and you got you and one other player voting another way. It's like, but good thing I'm not only a player, I'm also the coach, so I get 2 votes.
Oh, that's true. I get double the power.
no. I get 5 votes.
The coach is worth more vote power, right?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
coach,
The coach is the coach.
Obviously,
He's the head poncho. He's the leader.
I make the
Okay.
final decisions.
I guess we can wrap up the show. Let's look at week 4. If you want to make any predictions, like any spicy predictions, because these all seem pretty simple, except for like
Burning Core 2-0. Let's go.
Burning Core 2-0.
Ooh, that's
I'd go
bold.
Burning
going
Core
V3.
1-1. It's possible.
I believe
I think
in my
Burning
guys.
Core can beat V3. They just have to get really lucky and hope that Yutori Moashi slips on something, breaks his wrist. Then I can see Burning Core beating V3. But until that happens, like, Yutori Moashi is weak in the laning phase. I don't think his laning phase is good at all. But like mid to late game, yeah, he's really good. I can see why everyone thinks he's the best AD carry, because his team fighting and positioning is just like really, really good.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, so I'm gonna go. I think the interesting ones that I'm looking at. I think Crest versus V3. It's gonna be a good game.
mhm.
I'm going to predict Crest is going to win that one, because I think that Paz is not so dominant compared to Grendel that he will overtake the fact that Luna should be beating Ace.
Mhm.
Right, I think Luna is better than Ace in a larger discrepancy than Paz is better than Grendel. I think is what it comes down to.
So, what do you think? Who are you picking versus Crest and V3?
I'm honestly not sure. Like, it really depends on picks and bans, and I'm also on the CGA train, the Crest Gaming train,
Mhm.
because like even though you say Tori Morashi is one of the best AD carries in LJL, I think that's as a Japanese player.
Yeah.
Like, you can't like look over Art's kill participation, like damage done per game, like all those stats. Like Art and Luna are ridiculous on
Mhm.
Crest Gaming, and I feel like V3 is gonna have a hard time both in the mid lane and the bot lane. I feel like jungle, Pachamecha is obviously inferior to Baby, but I feel like the lanes have too much influence right now. So I don't think V3 V3 will have a hard time against the Crest game.
Okay.
Just wanted to throw this out real quick that the jungler is saying that the lanes have too much of an impact right now.
Yes.
Does that make you upset? So what?
It makes me upset. It makes me upset, but unfortunately, it is true right now. Like mid lane priority, like lane priority is so important right now for junglers.
Yeah, it really is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm surprised both of you guys picked CG, because I was gonna pick Crest Gaming as well, because I think
Wow.
like I don't think Baby is that good. I think Hachamecha will do fine. Like you could like saying Hachamecha is better than Baby is kind of a stretch, because it's Hachamecha. He's not really known for like being this really insane jungler. He's just he supports the team, and the team does well around him. And when I say I don't think Yutori Muashi is like one of the best AD carries, I obviously give that to like Yutapon, because when you're bad at the laning phase, that's pretty bad. That's like 30% of the entire game is just laning phase and like not losing the lane phase. And Yutori Muashi loses the laning phase quite a bit. I think they lost lane
Last
phase
week.
against
Last week,
Kingmaker.
yesterday, against Keymaker, yeah, Keymaker
Yeah,
NT.
they lost to
It was, an,
Kingmaker and NT. Is like
I think it was
shocking.
an Ezreal Karma versus some Ash Tomkench.
Yeah, I remember Ash Tomkench, Ezreal. Yeah, Ezreal Karma sounds about right. Karma
Yeah,
had like cleanse or something like that, but
yeah.
it was really like
Yeah.
shocking. Like I was like, oh, that's Yutori Muashi for you. Then he steals the Baron buff. I'm like, yep, that's Yutori Muashi for you.
Oh yeah, okay. Going back to the Baron buff thing, Baron was at 800 HP at the time, like when Ezreal shot his ult,
Okay.
and um, I can't remember. Tussle was level 14 at the time, which means his smite does like 700 some damage, so he couldn't smite at that time.
Okay.
In Tussle's defense,
Okay. I'm not a jungle expert, so I completely ignored that. I just see the Ezreal come in, and I just say like, "What the fuck?" And I just get really like frustrated, like, well, "How did you let that happen?" But you blame the jungle whenever Baron gets stolen. You don't blame anyone
yeah.
else. So that was
I
my
blame the
initial
support.
reaction.
I blame the support when when the Baron gets stolen.
Yeah, no, it's love-hate relationship. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just think Crest has a much more well-rounded team. I think Art and Luna are better than Ace and Yutori Moashi. You could say Baby's a little bit better than Hachimecha, but I think you can make an argument. And Paz is
Wait,
better
did
than
you say
Grimble.
Tussle was level 14?
I think he was level 14. I can't
Because
remember.
level 14 smite does 800 flat.
Really?
Yeah.
No, but it was something over 800. Like, just can't
Sure,
remember the. We looked at
Yeah.
it on slow mo. Just can't
Okay.
remember the proper numbers.
Okay. It's still like.
Sorry, we got sidetracked.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's
it's okay.
fine. My point is just like letting that happen is still like unacceptable as a team. Like obviously like maybe Tussle should have landed Smite, maybe they should have done some things better, but like the end result is they lost when they were in a winning position and then they just got like destroyed after that. So
Yeah.
that was my
Yeah.
main point, that the
Yeah.
team kind of looked confused. But they weren't confused enough to beat Sengoku, so congratulations for that. I can't believe we keep going
Yeah.
back to Sengoku's just shitting on them. I feel bad. I feel like most of
God,
the
Maple,
show
I
is
mean,
just
it's
shitting
so
on them.
easy.
Maple's just like crying in a corner right
Yeah,
now.
I think Maple blocked me. He's gonna be like, oh fuck this guy. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
There
think
any
Crest should
other?
win.
Yeah. I think the Rascal Jester games are probably going to be interesting because they're playing USG and Sengoku.
Hmm.
And it's so hard to predict a Rascal Jester game. I feel like every single time you predict one thing, they're just like, nope, we're gonna play the exact opposite, back to back. One game we're going to pop off, and the other game we're going to do absolutely nothing. So I think they will either go. No, I definitely think they're going to go 1-1, but I have no idea against who.
Maybe.
If Sengoku can stall it out, they can win. And if USG can stall it out, they can win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is my take on Rascal Jester. Rascal Jester is a very early game focused team.
Yeah, they're really
And
aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, to put it a little bit more bluntly than what SoWhaaaaat says, Rascal Jester's team fighting is absolutely fucking garbage. It is
Yeah.
the worst team fighting team I have ever seen. Like, they have no idea what they're doing when they 5-man stack, so if they don't get really far ahead, they just completely fall apart. So I do agree, if either USG or Sengoku can stall the game out till like the 30-minute mark, they're basically guaranteed to win. But I'm going to guess that one of them is not going to be able to do it. And partly it's because Cog and Wyvern are going to camp the absolute loving hell out of Donshu and Arumik, and one of them is going to collapse.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I think that's the only way they win, but okay.
Yeah.
Any final words? Anything you guys want to talk about? Any last topics? Anything you guys have on your mind?
No, I think that's it. I think it's been a good show.
Mhm.
Well, we got Team Liquid stuff coming up on Thursday. If you follow the NA scene at all, Mike Young went over to Echo Fox, so I won't be able to
Oh
talk
yeah.
about him. But
Is
no,
that
that's
Thursday
about.
American time?
Yeah, Thursday
Okay.
American, so it would be Friday Japanese time if anybody's
Okay.
watching from
I'll
there.
try to
So.
see if I can wake up for that. But okay. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, SoWhaaaaat. SoWhaaaaat, any last
Bro.
words? Anything you want to say before we end the stream and end the call?
Nope. Nothing at
No,
all.
no one you want
You
to
don't have
thank?
anybody to thank?
I'd like to thank.
Anything you want to plug in? Follow SoWhaaaaat
Uh,
at his Twitter account.
Thanks to Burning Core sponsors,
Yeah.
Recall
thank you for the
Japan.
course sponsors. Thank you, Recall Japan. Thank you, Kevin, for inviting me onto the show. Thank you.
Thank you, Mom,
I'm sorry.
for
I'm
making
sorry,
food whenever I
Brian.
come home.
I'm sorry, Brian, for not being able to flame too much.
We'll probably have Brian on a later show. Hopefully, he'll bring on the flame. But okay, that was awesome. Thanks. Thanks for coming on.